Okay, next we're going to show how to load shapefiles onto a USB to be utilized by a Pro 700 or IntelliView 4 display. So I'm going to insert my USB into my computer. As you see, this USB already has a CN1 folder on it. And then here on my desktop, I have several shapefile prescriptions that I've gotten from my local agronomist. So you see within this shapefile folder we have several prescriptions. It is possible to import several prescriptions at one time. You notice each shapefile will have 3 file types associated with it: a .dbf, a .shp, and a .shx folder. So in order for this to work, we just simply need to have a shapefile folder on the root directory of our USB. So all one word, it can be capital S. Within that shapefile folder, we will have all of our prescriptions. When we insert this USB into the Pro 700 display or IntelliView 4 display, it will recognize that shapefile folder and will automatically prompt you to import those prescriptions. So we've moved that shapefile folder onto our USB, as well as we still have our CN1 folder on there as well. Once we've done that, we can just simply remove the USB from our computer and insert it into our display.
Beginning in spring of 2016, we introduced the capability to load shapefiles into our display to use for multi-swath plus, prescriptions, and boundaries. When we have those shapefiles loaded onto our USB and key the vehicle on, we will get a message: files were copied to internal storage. This gives us a prompt to proceed to data management and import to. When we arrive at data management import to, we see that our source defaults to shapefile, as those were the types of files that are loaded. We see there we do have a few different choices to import. We will keep that as shapefile as of today. Data type is prescription. We can see that there are also boundaries loaded. That is a capability that shapefiles do allow us. The process is the same whether we are importing shapefile prescriptions or boundaries. When we choose prescription, we are going to get a list of all the different shapefile prescriptions that are loaded onto that USB stick. We can see that we have several different choices. Some of them are seed prescriptions, some of them are liquid prescriptions. The display gives us the opportunity to import shapefiles in an assortment of formats to keep it very flexible for the customer. We will go ahead and choose a liquid prescription today. We see our field selection here, grower, farm, and field, that we can select. This will default to the active grower, farm, and field that we have selected in the display. In the event that you would need to choose a different one, you could go ahead and select anything on that grower, farm, field selection window. Product form, we do get to choose the product form that this prescription was written in. This prescription was liquid, so we do get to choose that to be able to establish our default application rate. One thing that shapefiles allow us to do is have that flexible default application rate. So if the prescription was written in gallons per acre versus ounces per acre, seeds per acre versus 1,000 seeds per acre, the shapefile option gives us the ability to work through that. Once we've selected that default application rate, we can go ahead and select import. Choosing import then allows us to rename the prescription if we needed to. A nice thing about shapefiles is the actual name of that file does not need to match the grower farm field that we are currently in, like we see in a CN1 folder. So if we had multiple prescriptions that were labeled very similarly, we do have the ability to rename those, but that is not something that is required from a shapefile perspective. Once we hit enter, the import successful window pops up. We can then see that prescription name, which product is associated with that prescription in the grower farm and field that we assigned it to. Depending on the specific software version that you're running at this point, the display may prompt you to reboot the display in order to process that shapefile. In this case, our shapefile is ready to be assigned to our field. So if we go to Back, Performance, and RX Setup, we can see here, if we go to our liquid prescription, we see the liquid shapefile prescription that we just loaded. It shows our out-of-zone rate as the average rate that was designed for that prescription. That can be edited as needed, but it does provide that default application. We can see here on our seed left and seed right layers that we do have a CN1 prescription that was loaded into the display. So the shapefile prescription option does allow us to mix and match our file types and allows us to use both CN1 prescriptions and shapefile prescriptions in the same field.